For that, we'd like to welcome in Landon Swan, the co-founder of LikeFolio.com, and welcome back Jenny Horn, Fast Market contributor.
Okay, so today we're talking about Prime Day, which is a holiday I'd consider that's very near and dear to my heart because it involves basically spending money and shopping. So this was Monday and Tuesday, and we've seen a ton of LikeFolio data. At least I've been seeing it on Twitter so far, Landon. So really, how important is Prime Day to Amazon, and how did it go this year?
Well, obviously, Prime Day is extremely important. I mean, you can look at the chart of Amazon mentions and purchase intent mentions over the course of the history of the company, and you can see every year there's this huge spike, right? I mean, it's incredible, and that's Prime Day. So it's very important to the company, and as you guys know, they did really well this year. It was up, I think, for our data in the 20s or 25% year over year. So they did extremely well this year. It's a big day for them. But what's really interesting, and this is something that I love capitalism and free markets because nobody's going to let Amazon just control this message. And so you've got competitors like eBay, Walmart, and Target kind of jumping on and riding their coattails and having their own sort of Prime Day. And it's sort of turned it into the new Cyber Monday. And they're actually doing even better than Amazon as far as an increase on a year-over-year basis. So eBay, Walmart, Target getting in on this and doing very well.
Yeah, Landon, I like the graphics that you guys have for LikeFolio and the data based on, this is the first time they've done 48 hours of this Prime Day. But do you find it pretty surprising that Christmas in July isn't happening for the stock, because the shares have pulled back ever since the end of last week? It's almost like it still isn't good enough, but you sold more items than you ever did before, Cyber Monday and Black Friday combined, and it's just like it's not good enough. I don't understand why the stock price is reacting differently than what your data reflects.
So I think, what is the stock off, like maybe 5% from all-time highs, something like that? I'm not sure if my math's right, but it's about there. So I mean, if you zoom out far enough, the stock is doing extremely well. If you zoom in really close, then yes, it is off a little bit, but they're doing a fantastic job. They're selling a lot of merchandise, but again, you've got these other companies like Walmart and Target who have upped their game tremendously when it comes to online sales, Walmart especially, and they're jumping in on this. I mean, you even had eBay sort of trolling Amazon a little bit, saying that they're going to have a crash day sale where if Amazon goes down like they did last year, you get even bigger discounts. So people are taking notice, and you can see on this chart the year-over-year growth on Prime Day for each company. Yes, Amazon did really well, but these other companies absolutely took advantage more than Amazon, and they're really bringing it. So they're doing a good job of shifting this from this is Amazon's day to this is where you can get good deals online anywhere, and we want to be part of that, Walmart and Target.
Yeah, Landon, you also got some interesting information about the third-party vendors as well, and there's a couple here that are really sticking out to me.
Yeah, so when we look at which brands or products are jumping out, you can see who's doing really well on Prime Day. And you go through the list, you got iRobot and Garmin, Roku, Whirlpool, Crocs, and Canon, and it's mostly technology, of course, with the exception of Crocs, which is amazing. By the way, they were the #1 in the category of clothing, jewelry, and accessories. So
yeah, that's the one in particular that's sticking out to me. Like, I'm sorry, like, I don't know who's actually buying them outside of Tom, but it's one of those things where it's like, clearly the numbers are showing, and we've seen that a couple times talking to you guys about Crocs, but it's still a head scratcher to me.
Yeah, they're the exception to this, but Tom and Kevin, they have several pairs. They're big buyers, so they're keeping this market up.
They do. You can't.
Another one that's not on the chart that we did see is just pet supplies in general. And so I know you guys talked about Chewy. That was a great topic yesterday, the day before. And so that one is actually, they're going to be benefiting from that as well. So it's not one brand in particular on Amazon, but just the category of pet supplies is also doing well.
You actually can't see Tom's feet, but he's wearing Crocs secretly down.
I'm not wearing Crocs.
But even though Prime Day didn't make a huge ripple in the stock, I mean, it obviously created an uproar on social media. I think I myself have tweeted about Prime Day and used that little emoji like 6 different times, so I should probably relax. But our first tweet is from Frank the Tooth, who says, Amazon, a claim is made that more than half of all households in the U.S. will be Amazon Prime members in 2019 by an e-research firm. In my opinion, this is highly unlikely. Half of all U.S. households is a statistical improbability. So is this possible? I mean, does seem like a very high number for Prime membership.
I think it's stabilized around 90 million members, and if they keep on hiking the price, and then you've got the competition, and Landon mentioned it, from Target and Walmart, who basically advertised that, hey, no or yearly subscription fee needed to get next day delivery, things of that nature, and Walmart's doing pretty well against price on them, but I don't see it. It's almost like Netflix. Netflix is saturated in the U.S., and now their growth is outside of the U.S., and Amazon eventually will get
I want to get Landon's take on this, because I see he's nodding a little bit, but like I look at Amazon's membership, it's still very affordable, and you get like a Netflix-like service with it. So to me, are people complaining about the price?
I'm going to agree with just about everything Tom said there. You do get that other service, which is like Netflix, but let's be honest, it's nowhere near Netflix. And when you look at these competing companies, I think it's just a matter of time before you can get on to Walmart and Target and have one-day shipping and no membership fee. And that's going to cut into Amazon quite a bit, because people are starting to get aware of the fact that you can price shop and sometimes beat Amazon prices. They're not always the lowest, and yes, shipping is extremely convenient, but if you take that away, which Walmart and Target are slowly doing, and they have the distribution for it, I think that I'm going to take the under on this 50% of households. I'm definitely going to take the under on that one.
Yeah, and just to move to our next tweet, it's from Juan Carlos Monero, who says, want to talk Amazon Prime Day. They sold over 1 million toys, 35,000 beauty products, 300,000 headphones, 200,000 TVs, 100,000 laptops. That's a lot of boxes, but packaging companies have underperformed the last year in the S&P. Watch out. So we kind of mentioned the different topics or the different brands that people are buying, but could this affect these different packaging companies like a UPS, like a FedEx? Because we talk about those all the time.
Well, think about this. The e-commerce sales have started to ramp up, right? It's like 12-13% of all total retail sales as a whole now. And if you look at FedEx over the last year, you would be like, why is FedEx not doing well?
Right.
The shipping companies, not just the packaging companies, but they're not doing well because they're losing that Amazon last mile delivery service, but they've really underperformed. So I look at it that way. It's like, just because they're shipping more doesn't mean that you're going to do better, because maybe costs come in, maybe your margins shrink, maybe the pressure that Amazon and some of these other companies put on them, affects their bottom line.
And Landon, we're running real low on time here, so I just want to get one last thing, kind of throwing you a tiny bit of a curveball. We got earnings next week. We know this is all for this quarter, that they're not going to be reporting yet. Do you like what you're seeing in the data so far going into this earnings announcement next week?
It's tough. Anytime you got a stock near all-time highs, just 5% off all-time highs, it's tough to be bullish at that point unless you've got incredible data. And yes, they had a good prime, but I think that's going to be priced into the market. They've already released those sales, so we don't have an edge on that. So I think we may be sidelines, but I think what you want to look at is some of the secondary plays. Like, for example, we had Whirlpool up on the list. They had a really good Prime Day. They do report next week as well. I think that could be a potential bullish play. I'm sure we'll be talking about that on the show. And then another one, we mentioned Roku, but also Amazon Fire did extremely well, just that product. And so there's a big cord-cutting movement going on. So companies that benefit from that are going to be big in the future too. So I think it's not just Amazon. You want to look at all the other ones that benefit, and then also the companies that we talked about, Target, Walmart, and eBay, that are kind of me-tooing it along the way and getting their share of the revenue. So there's a lot to this story, and I think we'll have to cover it all next week.
Yeah, you bring up a good point. It might be about the brands. And speaking of brands, you guys are busting me up. I was nice enough to buy something on Amazon Prime for Jenny Horn, a box of Slim Jims, 120 count.
Which I think
she was very happy about that.